I've had a bunch of gaming monitors over the years, and there's 4 things that I would like to explain to you before reviewing the one that's actually featured in this video. The first thing is size, because it does matter and it depends on what you're doing. If you're going to be playing competitive video games, I recommend a monitor between 24 inches and 27 inches. I would not go any smaller than that, and I also would not go any bigger than that. The second thing is resolution. I am by no means saying that there is not a noticeable difference going from 1080p to 1440p and then 1440p to 4K, because yes, there is a noticeable difference. But as far as playing video games, if that is what we are talking about, video games are not the same thing as watching a video. There is not a bit rate that you're relying on to see over the internet. So like if you're watching a gameplay on YouTube as an example, and that gameplay is 1080p, and then you go from that 1080p video to a 4K video, there is a massive, huge difference in the quality of what you're seeing. But if you're playing a game, that game does not have a bit rate that you're relying on. So it is, in quite literal terms, lossless. It is lossless quality. And if you're going to be playing these games on a 24 to 27 inch monitor, 1080p is perfectly fine. Is 1440p better? Is 4K better? Absolutely. But gaming, if that is what you're doing, it is not that big of a difference. If you're going to be getting into content creation and you're going to be working with the monitor, absolutely, 1440p and 4K is extremely noticeable. It is very noticeable when you're working with the monitor. So anyways, the third thing that I want to cover here, the panel type, because there's 3 main types of monitor panels. There's TN, there's IPS, and then there's VA. TN panels are the fastest and the least expensive, but they have poor viewing angles. IPS panels have good viewing angles and color reproduction, but they're more expensive. And then VA panels have the best contrast and black levels, but they have the slowest response times. Refresh rate is the 4th thing that I want to cover here. And again, similar thing to the resolution. The refresh rate, I'm guessing most of you know what this is, but for those of you that do not understand what this is the FPS basically. So when you're in a video game and you're playing a video game and your game is at 144 hertz or 144 FPS, you want to get a monitor that's right around that range. So it does depend on the type of computer you have and what you're looking to do as far as like gaming goes. So if you're getting a monitor for gaming, the higher refresh rate or the more hertz or the more FPS, it's just going to be better because it's going to pretty much what I like to call future-proof you for like when you upgrade your computer in the future here. And I promise that I just barely explained all of this stuff to you for a reason before reviewing the monitor that is actually featured in this video. And that is because if this monitor is not for you, now you can go about choosing a different monitor to fit your needs and what you are looking for yourself. The response time, for those of you that are unaware, since I did actually forget to cover this, is how much of a time there is of a delay from when you click your mouse to what you're seeing on screen. So the higher response time or higher, millisecond, the worse that monitor is going to perform. Second thing, it's 165 hertz, great for gaming. The higher the refresh rate, the better. Are there 240 hertz monitors? Yes. Are you going to be playing games at 240 hertz and actually tell a difference between 165 hertz? No. Is there a noticeable difference going from 30 FPS to 60 FPS? Absolutely. Is there a noticeable difference going from 60 FPS to 120 FPS? Absolutely. Is there a noticeable difference going from 120 FPS to 144 FPS? No. And anything above that, it's very hard to tell a difference at that point. So as far as the panel type, it's an IPS panel, and the color accuracy on this is incredible. It's a great, at least for my personal taste, because there are some monitors out there that have a warmer tone to them and they distort the whites. So if that is your thing and you actually like a yellow white, then by all means get some other monitor. But as far as I'm concerned, I like seeing my white, white. I like seeing my blue, blue. I like seeing my blacks, black. My whites, you know what I mean? Like, I like to see my colors the way they are supposed to be. You know what I mean? So there are settings on the monitor to where you can, if you really want a yellow white and you don't care, then you can absolutely change the colors of this monitor. But I'm just saying the color accuracy on this panel is great. Now, as far as like the way the monitor actually looks, the stand that it comes with, I do not like. I think it's ugly looking. You can't adjust the stand or anything like that. So the stand is really my only complaint about this thing. The audio also not very good with this. You know what I mean? But I'm guessing that most of you that are getting a gaming monitor are not going to be having audio come out of the monitor, and you're going to have a headset. So those are really my only two complaints about it. The borderless bezel is great, especially if you're going to be getting a couple of them and then mounting them together, because I'm not going to say you're not going to notice, because you are going to notice, but there's not that much of like a gap from like looking at one monitor to another monitor. So it looks nice. So yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts on this monitor. I recommend it. I think it's good. I haven't had it long enough to tell you whether or not there's going to be, the ghosting effect where, you leave something on the screen for 4 hours and then you go to do something else and it's stuck there. I haven't tested that to that extent, at least. I've had it on and had my wallpaper on the monitor and everything, and then I've opened up a web browser and I didn't notice that ghosting effect. So as far as I'm concerned, the monitor works great. It does what it's supposed to. It's good for gaming. If you're going to be getting into content creation, I don't recommend this monitor. And the reason I don't recommend this monitor for content creation is because it's small and it's only 1080p. If you're going to be getting into content creation, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting into the 1440p territory, because there's a very noticeable difference, not from necessarily just from like video or pictures or anything like that, but when you're using timelines with these programs like your video editor or Photoshop or any of these other like programs that have these little icons and texts on screen, it's very noticeable going from 1440p to 4K or 1080p to 1440p, etc. So if that is your thing and that is what you are looking for, then get something different. I personally have a 32:9 monitor. It's one of those like super, quote unquote, super ultra wide monitors. It's like literally like two monitors in one. So yeah, recommend it.